Captain Li Hian stood on the bridge of Soul's Pride, watching through the main viewing screen as the largest structure he had ever seen grew bigger in front of them. The Galactic Trade Nexus looked like a metal city floating in space. Hundreds of ships from different worlds moved around it like busy insects. "Captain, we are getting close to the docking area," said Navigator Kong Taemin from his station. His voice was calm, but Lee could hear the excitement underneath. This was the first time any human had come this far into alien space. "Take us in slowly," Lee replied. "Let them see we are not here to cause trouble." Soul's Pride was small compared to the other ships around the Nexus. The alien vessels were huge. Some looked like giant metal snakes that twisted through space. Others were round and covered with sharp points. A few seemed to be made of pure light that changed colors as they moved. Ambassador Park Ji-woo walked onto the bridge. She was a small woman, but she carried herself like someone who had faced down world leaders. Today she looked nervous, though. "Captain, are you ready for this?" she asked. "As ready as we can be," Lee answered. "How are the others doing?" "Kim. Nari is checking all our communication systems one more time. Colonel Choi is reviewing the security plans. Dr. Han is still studying the alien language files we received." Lee nodded. His crew was small, but they were the best Earth could send. Each person had been chosen carefully for this mission. "We're representing all of humanity today." The radio crackled to life. A voice spoke in heavily accented English. "Earth vessel Soul's Pride, you are cleared to dock at Bay 47. Follow the guidelights. Do not deviate from the assigned path." "You Nexus Control," Lee replied. "We understand and will follow your instructions." As they moved closer, Lee could see other ships docked at the station. Each one was at least 10 times bigger than Soul's Pride. Some had weapons that looked like they could destroy planets. Others had strange energy fields around them that made the air shimmer. "Look at the size of that thing," whispered Engineer Yu Minho as he joined them on the bridge. He was pointing at a ship that looked like a giant crystal formation. "Our entire ship could fit inside one of their weapon ports." "Size is not everything," said Security Chief Lim Young-ji as she entered. "Sometimes the smallest package carries the biggest surprise." Lee smiled at her words. Lim always found ways to boost the crew's confidence. They would need that confidence today. The docking process took almost an hour. The alien technology guided their ship into a bay that was designed for much larger vessels. Soul's Pride looked like a toy boat in an ocean liner's parking space. "Docking complete," announced Kong. "All systems show green. We are secure." Through the viewing screen, they could see alien creatures moving around on the docking platform. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, but were much taller and covered in scales. Others moved on 6 legs and had hard shells like giant insects. A few seemed to be made of light and floated instead of walking. "First contact protocol is now active," announced Park. "Everyone remember your training? We are here to make friends, not enemies." Dr. Han So-young hurried onto the bridge, carrying a tablet computer. "Captain, I have been listening to their communications. The aliens are talking about us." "What are they saying?" Lee asked. "Most of it is not very nice. They are calling us primitive. One group thinks we are too weak to be worth their time. Another group is laughing about our small ship." Lee felt his jaw tighten, but kept his voice steady. "What else? They seem surprised that we made it this far into space. Some think it was luck. Others believe a more advanced species must have helped us." Kim Nari spoke up from her communication station. "Captain, we are receiving a formal greeting message from the Nexus administrators. They want us to come aboard for the welcome ceremony in 2 hours. Tell them we accept," Lee said. "And Kim, make sure all our recording equipment is working. Earth will want to see everything that happens here." Colonel Choi Dae-ho entered the bridge wearing his dress uniform. "Sir, I have completed the security check. The aliens have weapon scanners at every entrance. They will know we are not carrying anything dangerous." "Good," Lee replied. "We want them to see we come in peace." As the crew prepared for their historic meeting, Lee looked out at the massive space station around them. Thousands of alien beings lived and worked here. Ships from dozens of worlds came and went every day. This was the center of galactic civilization, and they thought humans were just primitive animals. "Captain," said you quietly, "are you sure about this plan? If something goes wrong, we are very far from home." Lee turned to face his engineer. "Minho, our ancestors sailed across unknown oceans to find new lands. They did not know what was waiting for them either. But they went anyway because that is what humans do. We explore, we learn, we grow. But those ancestors did not face aliens with weapons that could destroy stars, you pointed out." "No," Lee agreed. "But they faced storms that could sink their ships and monsters they had never seen before. The size of the danger does not matter. What matters is that we do not let fear stop us from moving forward." Park checked her watch. 1 hour until the ceremony. Is everyone ready? The crew members looked at each other and then back at their captain. They were scared, but they were also excited. This was the moment that would change human history forever. "We are ready," Lee said firmly. "Let us go show the galaxy what humans can do." As they prepared to leave their ship, none of them knew that the aliens waiting for them had already decided humanity's fate. The welcome ceremony was just the beginning of a plan that would test everything the human race had learned about survival. The small Earth ship sat quietly in its oversized docking bay, looking harmless and weak. The aliens walking past it paid no attention to the vessel that would soon change everything they thought they knew about power. The main conference hall of the Galactic Trade Nexus was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds could have formed inside it. Hundreds of different alien species filled the space, their voices creating a noise like a thunderstorm. Made of whispers, Captain Lee Hoon walked beside Ambassador Park Ji-woo toward the center of the hall. Behind them came the rest of the human delegation. Every step they took echoed in the vast space. Alien eyes followed their movement from every direction. "Stay close together," Park whispered, "and remember to smile. We want to look friendly." Aliens around them were incredible to see. Some stood 3 times taller than humans and had skin like tree bark. Others were so small they rode on floating platforms to reach normal height. A few seemed to be made of metal and crystal, with lights blinking inside their bodies, but none of them looked friendly toward the humans. "Look at the little ones," said a voice that sounded like grinding stone. The words came from a creature that looked like a walking mountain. "They are so small and soft. How did they even survive long enough to build spaceships?" Another alien laughed with a sound like breaking glass. "Perhaps they are pets that learned to fly. Their owners must be looking for them." He kept walking, but his jaw was tight with anger. Beside him, Colonel Choi Daeho's hand moved slightly toward where his weapon would normally be. But they had no weapons here. Aliens had made sure of that. They reached the center of the hall where a raised platform waited. 3 large chairs sat on the platform, each one designed for a different type of alien body. A small human-sized chair had been added at the last minute. It looked like furniture for a child next to the others. The first alien to take a seat was Commander Seth of the Vorthan Empire. He was 8 feet tall with green scales and yellow eyes that never blinked. His teeth were sharp enough to cut through metal. When he spoke, his voice hissed like steam from a broken pipe. "So these are the famous humans," Seth said, looking down at them. "I expected something more impressive. You look like the animals. We feed to our young." The second alien was Queen Voice Zoke from the Clicks Collective. She had 6 arms and a body covered in hard black shell. Her head was shaped like an insect, but was the size of a watermelon. When she moved, her joints clicked together like someone typing very fast. "Click, click, whistle, click," she said in her own language, then switched to English. "My apologies. I was telling my hive mates that humans are even smaller than we thought. Perhaps we should have brought high chairs for the meeting." The third alien was different from the others. Bright Speaker Veltar of the Luminari was made of pure energy that held a shape like a tall human. Colors swirled inside its body like liquid rainbow. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music played through water. "I see no reason to waste time on such primitive beings," Veltar said, without looking at the humans. "They have nothing we need and nothing we want." Ambassador Park took her seat in the small chair. Even sitting down, she had to look up at the aliens like a child talking to adults. but her voice was strong and clear when she spoke. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Earth is honored to join the galactic community. We hope to learn from your wisdom and share what we have discovered." "Commander." Seth laughed, showing all his sharp teeth. "Share what you have discovered. What could you possibly have that we do not already know? You barely learned to leave your planet. We've been traveling between stars for thousands of your years." "That may be true," Park replied. "Species sees the universe in different ways. Perhaps our different viewpoint could be useful." Queen Voice Azek clicked her mandibles together. "Click whistle. Click your viewpoint. You mean the viewpoint of creatures who still fight wars over? Patches of dirt and drops of water. Very enlightening indeed." Behind the main platform, Engineer Yu Minho was studying the alien ships through the hall's massive windows. Each vessel was a work of art and engineering that made human technology look like stone tools. But as he watched, he noticed something. Interesting, the Vorthan ships were powerful but moved slowly and needed time to change direction. The Clix vessels were fast, but seemed fragile, with thin hulls that probably could not take much damage. The Luminar ships were beautiful but appeared to need constant energy to maintain their form. Every design had strengths but also weaknesses, Doctor. Han Soyoung was listening to the alien conversations around the hall. Her language skills let her understand bits and pieces of what different species were saying. Most of it was not good. "The humans smell like fear," one alien was saying. "Look, how they bunch together like prey animals," said another. "I heard their ship has no real weapons. It's just some tiny missiles that could not hurt a cargo hauler." But Dr. Han also noticed something else. The aliens all used different ways to talk to each other. Some used sounds, others used light patterns, and a few seemed to communicate by touching each other's minds directly. Yet somehow they could all understand each other during the meeting. There had to be some kind of universal translation. System working in the background, Kim Nari was monitoring all the radio signals around the station. Her equipment was picking up thousands of different communications, ship-to-ship messages, station announcements, and private conversations between alien crew members. What worried her was that many of the signals were encrypted military channels. For a peaceful trade meeting, there seemed to be a lot of warships in the area. Security Chief Lim Yonji was watching the alien guards around the hall. They all carried weapons that looked advanced enough to level city blocks. The guards were also positioned in patterns that could quickly surround the human delegation if needed. This was starting to look less like a welcome ceremony and more like a trap. Back at the main platform, the negotiations were getting worse. The aliens were offering Earth almost nothing in exchange for detailed information about human technology, biology, and planetary defenses. "You should be grateful we offer anything at all," Commander Seth hissed. "Most species we encounter become our servants. You're being generous by treating you as potential trading partners." "Perhaps serving would be better for them," suggested Queen Voice Sayx. "They are clearly not ready for real independence. A few centuries of guidance might help them develop properly." Bright Speaker Veltar finally looked directly at the humans. "I grow tired of this discussion. Okay, these beings are barely worth our notice. Let us conclude this quickly so we can return to important matters." Captain Lee felt his crew's tension growing around him. Aliens were not just dismissive anymore. They were becoming threatening. And there were a lot more alien ships around the station than there should be for a simple trade meeting. Something was definitely wrong. The meeting ended badly. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood up from her small chair and bowed politely to the alien representatives. Her face showed nothing, but Captain Lee Hain could see the worry in her eyes. "We thank you for your time," Park said in her diplomatic voice. "We will need to discuss your proposals with our government on Earth before making any decisions." Commander Seath's yellow eyes narrowed to thin slits. "You will discuss nothing. No. The time for discussion is over."
Yes.
Suddenly, warning lights began. Flashing throughout the massive conference hall, a loud alarm sound filled the air. All around them, alien guards began moving toward the exits, but not to leave. They were blocking the doors. Queen Voice Yoksek clicked her mandibles together in what might have been laughter. "Liquissel clickers. Did you really think we would let you leave after seeing our technology and learning about our weaknesses?" Is the meaning of this? Park demanded, though she already knew the answer. Bright speaker Veltar's energy form pulsed with brighter colors. The meaning, little human, is that your species has just volunteered to become an example to the galaxy. Other primitive worlds will learn what happens to those who dare approach us without permission. Captain Lee touched his communication device. Soul's Pride, this is the captain. Report your status. Kimnari's voice crackled through the speaker. Captain, we have big problems. The alien warships are surrounding us. They have weapons pointed. At our hull, I count at least 30 vessels. Colonel Choi Daeho stepped closer to Lee. Sir, we walked right into a trap. They planned this from the beginning. The alien guards were closing in around the human delegation. Each guard carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. There was nowhere to run and no way to fight. Back on Soul's Pride, Navigator Kong Taemin was watching his sensors with growing alarm. The alien ships had appeared from behind the space station like predators emerging from hiding. They had moved into attack positions with military precision. This is not good, he said to Kimnari. Those are not trade ships. Those are warships designed to capture and disable other vessels. Engineer Yu Minho was at his station running diagnostics on their ship systems. Our engines are being jammed. Someone is broadcasting interference signals that are stopping our faster-than-light drive from working. Security Chief Lim Yonji checked their defensive systems. What she found made her heart sink. Our shields are holding, but they will not last long against that much firepower. If they all shoot at once, we will be destroyed in seconds. Dr. Han So-young was listening to the alien communications again. They are coordinating their attack. The plan is to disable our ship first, then board us and take the crew prisoner. In the conference hall, Commander Seth was explaining the situation with obvious enjoyment. Your little ship will become a trophy. Your crew will become specimens for our scientists to study, and the rest of the galaxy will learn that approaching the Nexus uninvited has consequences. This is an act of war, Park said firmly. Earth will not forget this attack on a peaceful diplomatic mission. War Queen voice Zack clicked in amusement. What could your primitive world do to us? We have one small ship and a few billion frightened animals hiding on a single planet. We have fleets that could turn your sun into darkness. Captain Lee remained calm despite the desperate situation. Ambassador Park, I request permission to send a final message to Earth. Our people should know what happened here. Bright speaker. Velter's colors swirled with what seemed like pleasure. Yes. Let them send their message. We want all of Earth to see their representatives surrender to superior beings. It will make the conquest of their world much easier. Commander Seth hissed his agreement. Broadcast their message throughout the galaxy. Let every species see what happens to those who think they are equal to the great powers of space. Lee touched his communication device again. Soul's Pride, prepare for emergency broadcast to Earth. Full power transmission on all frequencies. Captain came, Kim Nari's voice. But sir, they are jamming most of our communications, so the signal might not get through clearly. Do whatever you can. This message needs to reach home. Dr. Han was studying her tablet computer, reading through files of alien language patterns and communication methods. Something was bothering her about the way the different alien species could understand each other so easily. Captain, she said quietly, I think I have found something important. The aliens use quantum entanglement for their translation systems. All their communications are connected through subspace networks. Does that mean, Lee asked? It means their communication systems are all linked together, like a giant web. If something affected one part of the network, it could spread to all the connected systems. Kim Nari's voice came through the speaker again. Captain, I am ready to broadcast your message, but the aliens are preparing to jam our transmission as soon as we start. Lee looked around at his crew members in the conference hall. They were surrounded by enemies and trapped far from home. Their ship was outnumbered and outgunned. Any normal person would give up in despair, but humans were not normal by galactic standards. Begin transmission, Lee ordered. And Kim, remember, what we discussed during the flight here. Use the special protocols we prepared. Special protocols activated, sir. Broadcasting now on all frequencies with maximum power amplification. The alien representatives looked pleased with themselves. expected to hear a message of surrender and defeat. They wanted Earth to know that humanity had failed in their first attempt to join galactic civilization. What they got instead was something none of them had ever heard before. Captain Li-Hun began to speak in a calm, steady voice. His words were simple and peaceful, talking about friendship and cooperation between species. But as his voice traveled through space, something unexpected began to happen. The aliens had made one crucial mistake. They had never encountered a species that used sound-based communication the way humans did, and they were about to learn why that was important. Captain Li-Hun's voice filled the conference hall as he spoke into his communication device. His words were calm and measured, exactly like a diplomat talking about peace and friendship. "People of Earth," he began. "This is Captain Li reporting from the Galactic Trade Nexus. We have met with representatives from several alien civilizations today." Commander Seth smiled with his sharp teeth, expecting to hear surrender. Queen Voice Sect clicked her mandibles. In amusement, Bright Speaker Veltar's energy form pulsed with satisfied colors. But something strange was happening. "We came here hoping to establish peaceful relationships with our galactic neighbors," Lee continued. "We brought gifts of friendship and offers of cooperation." On Soul's Pride, Kim Nari was monitoring the transmission with growing excitement. The special equipment they had hidden in their ship was working exactly as Earth scientists had predicted. Captain's voice was being amplified and modified in ways the aliens could not detect. "The signal is spreading through their quantum communication network," she reported to her crewmates. "It is reaching every connected system in the area." Dr. Han So-young was watching her readings with amazement. The frequency patterns are perfect. Human vocal cords produce sound waves that their translation systems cannot properly process. What the aliens did not know was that Soul's Pride was not just a diplomatic vessel. It was Earth's first field test of humanity's greatest discovery about galactic civilization. During their years of studying alien communications, human scientists had found something incredible. Every species in the galaxy used either telepathic links, electronic signals, or energy patterns to communicate. None of them used sound-based speech the way humans did. This made human voices completely unique in the galaxy, and it made them dangerous in ways no alien could imagine. "We believe that all intelligent species can learn from each other," Captain Lee continued speaking. "Each civilization has developed different solutions to the challenges of existence." In the conference hall, Commander Seth was the first to notice something wrong. His yellow eyes began to lose their focus. The words he was hearing seemed to echo strangely inside his head. "What is happening?" he hissed, but his voice sounded confused. Queen Voice Zoth tried to click her mandibles, but the pattern came out wrong. Click, whistle, click, a Kara click. "I cannot. My thoughts are becoming unclear." The human voice was creating interference patterns in their neural networks. The aliens' brains were designed to process quantum-based communication signals. When they tried to translate human speech, their consciousness networks began to overload. Veltar's energy form began to flicker like a broken light. "Something is wrong with the translation matrix. The sound patterns are causing disruption in our thought processes." Captain Lee kept talking in his calm, peaceful voice. "We hope that our species can work together to build a better future for all civilizations in the galaxy." The effect was spreading beyond the conference hall. Every alien ship connected to the Nexus communication network was receiving the transmission. The quantum entanglement that linked their systems together was carrying the disruptive human voice. To thousands of alien minds, on the Vorthan command ship, the crew was losing coordination. Navigation officers forgot how to read their instruments. Weapons operators could not remember which buttons controlled their guns. In the Clix vessels, the hive mind connections that coordinated their activities were breaking down. Drones stopped following orders from their queens. Engineers wandered away from their posts without knowing why. The Luminary ships were having the worst problems of all. Their energy-based crew members began losing their ability to hold solid shapes. Some flickered in and out of existence. Others split into multiple copies of themselves that could not agree on what to do. "We understand that trust must be earned through actions, not just words," Lee continued. His voice remained steady and diplomatic, even as chaos erupted around him. Dr. Han was reading reports from all over the space station. Captain, the effect is spreading faster than we calculated. Their interconnected communication systems are amplifying the disruption. Engineer Yu was monitoring the alien ships through their sensors. Sir, several vessels are losing formation control. Some are starting to drift away from their positions. Security Chief Lim was watching the alien guards in the conference hall. They were stumbling around like people who had been drinking too much alcohol. Their weapons were forgotten as they tried to figure out what was happening to their minds. Neural disruption is affecting their motor controls, she reported. They are losing the ability to coordinate their movements. Ambassador Park was staring in amazement at the alien representatives on the platform. Commander Seth was shaking his head back and forth like he was trying to clear water from his ears. Queen Voice Zact was making random clicking sounds. That meant nothing. Bright Speaker Veltara looked like a rainbow having a seizure. How long will this effect last? Park asked quietly.
Unknown,
replied Dr. Han. Human voices seem to create permanent changes in their neural pathways. They might need days or weeks to recover their full mental functions. Captain Lee was still, speaking about peace and cooperation, but his words were now a weapon more powerful than any gun or bomb. We believe that communication is the foundation of all civilizations. Through understanding each other, we can solve any problem. The irony was not lost on the human crew. Their captain was talking about the power of communication while using that same power to defeat their enemies. Colonel Choi was watching the alien guards with professional interest. Sir, I recommend we secure their weapons before they recover. Some of them are still dangerous even in their confused state. Agreed, Lee replied, still speaking into his communicator. But remember, we are not here to conquer anyone. We are here to establish our place in galactic civilization. Kim Nari's voice came through the speaker with growing excitement. Captain long-range sensors show that alien ships throughout the system are being affected. The transmission is reaching further than we thought possible. The human voice was spreading through space like a virus, carried by the very communication networks that connected galactic civilization. Every species that used quantum-based translation systems was vulnerable to the same neural disruption. We hope our new friends will understand that humanity comes in peace, Captain Lee concluded his message. But we also hope they understand that we are not helpless victims who can be easily conquered. For the first time in galactic history, a small Earthship had just defeated multiple alien fleets without firing a single shot, and they had done it simply by talking. The chaos was spreading faster than anyone could have imagined. Captain Lee Hone continued his peaceful speech about cooperation and friendship. But his words were tearing apart the alien fleets like a storm destroys houses made of paper. Believe every species has something valuable to contribute to galactic civilization, Lee said calmly into his communication device. Around him, the alien representatives were falling apart. Commander Seth was no longer the proud leader of a mighty empire. The tall reptilian was on his hands and knees, shaking his head violently as if trying to escape from a nightmare. Yellow eyes rolled in different directions. Saliva dripped from his mouth as he made sounds that were not words. Make it stop, he managed to hiss between gasps the voice. It burns inside my thoughts. Queen Voice Zact was in even worse condition. Her 6 arms were moving randomly, hitting things around her without purpose. The clicking sounds she made were completely meaningless now. Her compound eyes were wide with terror as her hive mind. Connection shattered into pieces. Hive Queen emergency, she managed to whisper. Mental link failing. Cannot reach my children. Cannot think clearly. Bright Speaker Veltar was the most disturbing sight of all, the energy being's beautiful rainbow. Colors had turned into ugly brown and gray swirls. Parts of its body were flickering in and out of existence. Sometimes there was one Veltar, sometimes there were 3 or 4 copies that moved in different directions, formed ... losing cohesion, it said with a voice that sounded like breaking glass. Energy patterns ... disrupted. Cannot maintain. Consciousness structure. The effect was not limited to the conference hall. Throughout the massive space station, alien workers were abandoning their posts as their minds struggled to process the human transmission. Computer systems linked to the quantum communication network were overloading and shutting down. On Soul's Pride, Kim Nari was watching her instruments with a mixture of excitement and fear. Captain, the disruption field is expanding beyond our original calculations, has reached 17 star systems, and is still growing. Dr. Han So-young was studying the alien responses with scientific fascination. The neural damage appears to be cumulative. The longer they are exposed to human speech, the worse their condition becomes. Engineer Yu Minho was monitoring the alien ships around them. What he saw was like watching a coordinated military fleet turn into a collection of drunk pilots. Sir, the Vorthon battleships are firing their weapons randomly. They hit one of their own support vessels by accident. Are our shields holding? Lee asked, while continuing his diplomatic speech. Yes, sir, but that is not the problem. The aliens cannot aim their weapons anymore. Most of their shots are going in the wrong direction completely. Security Chief Lim Young-ji was collecting weapons from the alien guards who had collapsed around the conference hall. These soldiers are trained warriors who have fought in hundreds of battles. Now they cannot even stand up straight. Colonel Choi De-ho was documenting everything with his recording equipment. Command will not believe this when we get home. We have defeated 3 of the galaxy's most powerful military forces by giving a speech about friendship. Cayman's voice came through the communication system from Soul's Pride. Captain, you need to see what is happening in space. The alien formations are completely broken. Ships are crashing into each other. Through the massive windows of the conference hall, the human delegation could see the chaos outside. Vorthon warships were spinning out of control, their crews too confused to operate the steering systems. Several had collided with the space station, causing explosions that lit up the darkness. The Clix vessels were scattered across the area like leaves blown by wind. Without their hive mind coordination, each ship was acting independently. Some were trying to dock with the station. Others were attempting to flee the area. A few were flying in circles because their pilots had forgotten where they were supposed to go. The Luminari ships were the most spectacular failures. Made of pure energy, they required constant mental control to maintain their shape and function. As their crews lost consciousness, the ships began dissolving back into raw energy that sparked and flashed like captured lightning. People of Earth, Captain Lee continued his broadcast. We have learned much from our visit to the galactic community. We have seen wonders that will inspire our scientists for generations to come. Ambassador Park was staring at the destruction. Outside with mixed emotions, Captain, should we stop the transmission? This is more damage than we intended to cause. Negative, Lee replied. They plan to enslave our entire species and use Earth as an example to terrorize other worlds. They chose to see us as prey. Now they know what happens when prey fights back. The alien fleets were in full retreat now, but not by choice. The crews that could still function were desperately trying to get away from the source of the neural disruption, but the human voice was following them through their own communication networks. Every time a fleeing ship tried to contact other vessels for help, it spread the disruptive signal further. The quantum entanglement that connected their technology was working against them now. This is unprecedented, Dr. Han reported while studying her instruments. The human vocal frequency pattern is creating a cascade failure in their neural networks. It is like a computer virus but for biological brains. On the Vorthon flagship, Beryl Krext was trying to coordinate a retreat while his own mind fought against the strange new weapon. All ships ... retreat to ... safe distance. Abandon the humans. They are not ... what they appear to be. Communications officer was slumped over her console, drooling. His navigation crew was arguing about which direction was up. His weapons officer had forgotten how to count to 10. The clicks. Queen Admiral Vessark was facing similar problems on her command vessel. Emergency hive dash protocol. ... disconnect all. Quantum links. ... the voice weapon. Spreading through networks. But it was too late. The damage was spreading faster than they could disconnect their systems. The Luminari fleet Bright Zafara was already losing its ability to think incoherent thoughts. Warning, ... all energy dash forms, ... Humans are ... danger. Voice creates ... pattern disruption, ... contact. Captain Lee was concluding his message now. We hope this first meeting will lead to many years of peaceful cooperation and mutual understanding between our species. We look forward to working together to build a better galaxy for everyone. As he finished speaking, the alien fleets were in complete disarray. Some ships were fleeing as fast as they could travel. Others were drifting powerless through space. A few were still crashing into things because their crews could not remember how to fly. The mighty galactic powers that had planned to conquer humanity were now running away in terror from a single small ship that had defeated them with nothing but words. Message transmission complete, Kim Nari reported from Soul's Pride. For the first time in hours, there was silence in the conference hall. The only sounds were the groans and confused muttering of the alien representatives who had fallen to the floor. Captain Lee looked around at his crew with satisfaction. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe our diplomatic mission has been successful. We have established humanity's position in galactic politics. Ambassador Park was still staring at the chaos outside. Captain, what happens now? The entire galactic community will know what we did here. Lee smiled grimly. Now they will know that humans are not helpless prey. We may be small, and our ships may look weak, but we have something they do not. What is that, sir? Asked Colonel Choi. We have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, Lee replied. We have the human voice. 3 days after the incident at the Galactic Trade Nexus, Captain Lee Hoon stood in his quarters aboard Soul's Pride, reading reports that would have seemed impossible just a week ago. The alien fleets had retreated to the edge of the star system and were maintaining what they called a safe distance. Most of their crews were still recovering from the neural disruption caused by human speech. Some might never fully recover. Captain Cam Kim Nariz's voice over the ship's communication system. We are receiving another formal request for negotiations. This one is from the Hegemony Council representing 47 different species. Lee smiled as he walked to the bridge. What are they offering this time? Full galactic citizenship. For humanity, preferred trading status, and a request that we never again use our vocal capabilities against their fleets. When Lee reached the bridge, he found his crew in much better spirits than 3 days ago. They were no longer the underdogs facing impossible odds. They were the representatives of a species that had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Ambassador Park Ji-woo was studying the latest diplomatic messages on her tablet computer. Captain, I have never seen anything like this. Every major civilization is sending us offers of alliance and friendship. They are treating Earth like a superpower. Because we are a superpower now, replied Dr. Han So-young from her station. We just proved that human voices can disable any alien fleet in the galaxy. That makes us the most dangerous species they have ever encountered. Engineer Yu Minho looked up from his technical readouts. Sir, I have been analyzing the alien ship designs we recorded during the battle. Their technology is impressive, but it has a fatal weakness. They are all dependent on quantum-linked communication systems, which means they are all vulnerable to our voice-based disruption field, added Security Chief Lim Yoon-ji. Long as they use those networks, we can affect them from anywhere in the galaxy. The tactical implications were staggering. Humanity had gone from being unknown primitives to being the species that every other civilization feared and respected. All because of something as simple as talking. Colonel Choi Daeho is reviewing the recorded footage from the conference hall incident. The alien representatives are still in medical care on the station. Commander Seth can barely speak coherently. Queen Voice Zach Daesh has lost contact with most of her hive mind, and Bright Speaker Veltar is existing as separate energy fragments that cannot merge back together. Any word on permanent damage? Lee asked. The doctors say they will recover eventually, but it could take months or even years for their neural pathways to repair themselves completely. Navigator Kong Taman announced from his station captain. We have an incoming transmission from Earth. It is marked as Priority Alpha from Fleet Command. Put it through, Lee ordered. The face of Admiral Chen appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Lee could see the bustling activity of Earth's military headquarters. Everyone looked excited and busy. Captain Lee, congratulations on your successful mission, Admiral Chen said with a broad smile. Your transmission has been analyzed by our best scientists and military strategists. The implications are remarkable. Thank you, Admiral. We are ready to return to Earth for full debriefing. Actually, Captain, your orders have changed. Earth wants you to remain at the Nexus as our permanent ambassador. We are establishing humanity's first galactic embassy there. He looked at Ambassador Park, who nodded with enthusiasm. We would be honored to serve in that capacity. Good, you should know that the news of your victory has already reached every major power in the galaxy. We are receiving diplomatic messages from civilizations we never knew existed. Everyone wants to establish relations with the species that can weaponize speech. Dr. Han spoke up from her station. Admiral, what about the ethical concerns? We essentially used a weapon of mass destruction against beings who were not prepared for that kind of attack. Admiral Chen's expression became more serious. Dr. Han, those beings were planning to enslave our entire species and use Earth as an example to terrorize other worlds. They saw us as weak, prey to be conquered. Sometimes predators need to learn that their prey has teeth. The transmission continued with updates from Earth. Scientists were working around the clock to understand exactly how human voices affected alien neural networks. Military planners were developing new strategies based on humanity's unique vocal abilities. Diplomats were preparing for a flood of alien ambassadors who wanted to visit Earth. After the call ended, Captain Lee gathered his crew in the conference room. We have made history, he told them. We also have a responsibility. Now, every species in the galaxy will be watching us to see how we use this power. What kind of responsibility? Asked Kim Nari. The responsibility of being strong? For thousands of years, other species have bullied and conquered their weaker neighbors because they could get away with it. As now, they know there is at least one civilization that can fight back effectively. Ambassador Park leaned forward. So we become the galaxy's policeman. Not exactly, Lee replied. We become the example that shows other species they do not have to accept being victims. Humanity can go from unknown primitives to galactic powers in one day, then any species can defend themselves if they are willing to try. Over the following weeks, Sol's Pride became the center of galactic diplomatic activity. Representatives from dozens of civilizations came to the Nexus specifically to meet with the humans. Some came seeking alliances. Others came asking for protection from their stronger neighbors. A few came just to satisfy their curiosity about the species that could defeat fleets with words. The most interesting visitors were the other primitive species that the major powers had been bullying for centuries. They wanted to learn if humans would share their defensive capabilities. We cannot give you our voices, Dr. Han explained, to a delegation of beings from the Outer Rim territories. But we can help you find your own unique strengths. Every species has something that makes them special. The galactic balance of power was shifting. The old empires that had dominated through superior technology and brute force were discovering that there were other forms of strength they had never considered. Captain Lee's final log entry for their historic mission read, "The humans have taken our place among the stars not through violence or conquest, but by proving that every species has value and potential. We came to the galaxy seeking friendship and trade. We found ourselves in a war we did not start. But we ended that war by showing that even the smallest voice can carry the greatest power when it speaks with courage and determination. The alien fleets that once threatened to enslave us now maintain respectful distances from human vessels. They have learned that underestimating other species can be a fatal mistake. And perhaps most importantly, other civilizations have learned that being small or primitive does not mean being helpless. Sol's Pride will remain at the Galactic Trade Nexus as humanity's embassy to the stars. We will continue to speak for those who have no voice and stand with those who face overwhelming odds, because that is what humans do. Never give up, and we never let others give up either. The galaxy is a much larger place than we imagined when we first left Earth, but it is also a place where a single human voice can change everything. And that gives me hope for the future of all civilizations among the stars. The small Earth ship that had once looked so insignificant in the massive alien docking bay was now the most important vessel at the Nexus. Ships from across the galaxy came to see it, and their crews spoke in hushed, respectful tones about the day humanity proved that size and strength were not the only measures of power in the universe. The humans had spoken, and the galaxy had listened.